mathematical problem. What amount of potassium chlorate will be required to produce the same amount of oxygen which is obtained from 210 gram of mercuric oxide. So, first of all, let us try to find what amount of oxygen is produced from 210 gram of mercuric oxide. Mercuric oxide produces oxygen in this way. Mercuric oxide, when this is heated, then mercury and oxygen gas are formed. We need balanced equation. Oxygen 2, oxygen 2. Here too, our target is what amount of oxygen will be produced from 110 gram of mercuric oxide. Here, 2 of gram atomic mass of mercury, 200 plus oxygen 16 gram. This is equal to 432 gram mercuric oxide is used here, and here oxygen, gram molecular mass of oxygen is 32 gram. We have to calculate what amount of oxygen will be produced from 210 gram of mercuric oxide. Here 432 gram of mercuric oxide produces 32 gram of oxygen. Then 210 gram of mercuric oxide produces 32 times 210 divided by 432 gram of oxygen. This is equal to 15.56 gram of oxygen. That is, here 210 gram of mercuric oxide produces 15.56 gram of oxygen. Now we have to calculate what amount of potassium chlorate is required to produce this amount of oxygen. What amount of potassium chlorate will be required to produce 15.56 gram of oxygen? The related reaction is potassium chlorate is heated, then potassium chloride and oxygen gas are formed. Here balanced reaction is here 2, then 2 potassium atoms, 2, 6 oxygen atoms, here 3. This is balanced reaction. Here 2 of potassium 39.1 plus chlorine 35.5 plus oxygen 16 times 3. This is equal to 245.2 gram. Here 245.2 gram of potassium chlorate is heated. Then amount of oxygen 3 times 32 gram. This is equal to 96 gram of oxygen. Here we can write 96 gram of oxygen is produced from this gram of potassium chlorate, 245.2 gram of potassium chlorate, then this amount of oxygen, 15.56 gram of oxygen is produced from 245.2 times this 15.56 divided by this 96 gram of potassium chlorate. This is equal to 39.74 gram of potassium chlorate. That is, what amount of potassium chlorate will be required to produce the same amount of oxygen which is obtained from 210 gram of mercuric oxide. That is, 210 gram of mercuric oxide produces this amount of oxygen. So, to produce this amount of oxygen, what amount of potassium chlorate will be required? This is amount of potassium chlorate which is required to produce 15.56 gram of oxygen. Thank you for watching.